it takes a second, so hopefully it goes through. Let's see. I'm still not live.
I'm seeing the live in the countdown. I'm seeing it, so.
Okay, perfect. Yay. Let me get to comments so I can see. Oops, there we go. Let's see. Because I know there's always a delay with YouTube. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Birdie in the Books. Another author interview that I will be interviewing today is author Monique Fisher. Wrong side, sorry. It's interfaced on my computer, so I always point at the wrong side. Sorry.
It's all good.
Hi.
Is it Felicia? Like Felicia Rashad? Because I want to make sure. My thing is, I have a pet peeve where I have to pronounce people's names correctly because I have been called Michelle, Monica, Dominique, so I am like determined to get people's names correct.
Yeah, I'm the same way because the way my name sounds and the way it's spelled are two separate things. So people always.
Is it Alicia or Alicia?
Alicia.
Okay. Alicia, yeah. Got it. Like Alicia Keys, got it. And like
Alicia, yeah, got it. That's exactly. But Monique is with me today to talk about her books. Two are published, right? As of 3. This will be your 3rd?
Well, this will be my 4th. I have one that's free. If you go to my website, it's called This Christmas. It came out December of last year. It's kind of just like my Christmas book. Like I remember this past July, I said, "Hey, Christmas in July, I have a free book. Go get it." And so I think you could get it through Book Funnel.
Okay.
But if you go to my website, then you can definitely find it. But
I love Christmas novellas.
I
can't wait.
I have a Christmas erotica idea, but I'm going to wait till later to do that because I already have something else that's I'm part of the anthology. Oh God, let me make sure I get the title right. Best Women's Erotica. Those volumes.
Oh yeah. I have the one from 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
The number 9 is coming out in December. I think it's December 5th. And I have a story that's in there. I'm not on YouTube. That's why you're not finding me.
She's just an author.
Yeah, I don't have a channel. You know what? I would love to be able to do that, but I'm just like, time. Yeah. Like me and my friends, her pen name is Bella J, but her real name is Rogers. So I call her Fresh. And she has a book coming out. It's called 1201. So pick it up. It comes out in November. And her and our friend Sean, of course, has let's see, His Majesty, Midnight. There's like a whole series, and she has a whole bunch of other books too. So her name is spelled Shon, Sean, and look up for her stuff too. We are all obsessed with living single. So we're talking about doing a living single podcast.
Please do, because I'm rewatching it. I watched it when I was a kid, and then I'm rewatching it for the first time as an adult, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's funny because it came out when I was 13, and then watching it again, like when you're in your 20s, and then watching it again, now that I'm in my 40s, I'm just like, you know what, I can appreciate this a lot more. And it's funny because when I was a kid, my favorite characters, I still love her, but my favorite characters were mainly Regine and Khadijah. And now, like as an adult, I find that my favorite characters are Max and Kyle. So
Max was always my favorite. I don't know why.
Probably because she's just like she's so honest. And she kind of just tells you like it is.
Exactly.
So one of the reasons why Max has like steadily become my favorite character. Not to mention the actress who plays her, Erica Alexander, is just awesome. If you ever
she's amazing.
If you ever follow her on like social media, she's always like she's also into her. I believe her and her husband. I forgot the name of the comic book, but her and her husband have a comic that they've done.
Really?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me find it because this is going to bug me if I don't remember the name.
And you can send it to me in the private chat, and I could put it in the YouTube chat.
Yeah, it's called Concrete Park. I don't know if it's still publishing like new issues of it, but I read it like a long time ago, and it's really good. So I'd highly recommend that.
I will be checking that out for sure.
We definitely were talking about doing a living single podcast, like, and then like having episodes where it's like, one episode, like our favorite Regine episodes or our favorite Khadijah episodes or something like that. And I don't know when we're gonna find the time to do it.
Podcasts are fun.
That might be the thing that ends up getting me on YouTube. So but for now, I'm not on it.
We'll get her over to our side, the YouTube side, eventually. But I wanted to start off the questions with, if you don't mind giving a synopsis for Hot for Teacher, which will be coming out October 29th. Is that correct? Okay. If you wouldn't mind giving, because I always feel weird reading a synopsis when the author's right here. So I always like to ask the author if they just want to riff
I can read the synopsis, or I could just kind of like talk it through.
You can talk it. Whatever you're more comfortable with is on perfectly good with me.
Well, basically, it's about Latrice Richardson. She is a 38-year-old divorced single mom who owns her own business. Her life is really great. She has a beautiful 8-year-old son named Quincy, who she absolutely adores. Her personal life, though, isn't as perfect as the rest of her life. Let's just put it that way. She hasn't really dated or been in a relationship in a year because of some stuff that happened in the past with her now ex-husband. So it's harder for her to trust and open herself up to people. So she's dated casually, but she's never had anything like serious happen. And her sister Nadia, or Nene, who I love, she's like one of my favorite characters that I've ever written. She's a player. She's just like I get what I want and I leave. And she's trying to basically convince Latrice to do the same thing. She's like, look, girl, we're just gonna, what type of language are we allowed to use on here?
No, you can use all the language you want. It's fine.
Awesome. I don't want you to get demonetized. But
no, you're good. I don't have enough subscribers yet that I get demonetized, so you're good.
Basically, Nadia's on a dick finding mission for her sister. She's like, we're gonna get you a one-night stand. So they go out to dinner, they go to a restaurant, and that's where they meet Nathan Woodson, who is 29. So it's older woman, younger man.
I appreciate that, by the way. I'm so tired of reading the older man, younger woman trope as someone that's in their 30s.
I see more of the older woman, younger man trope. I know for a fact that there's probably more of the reverse, but I've seen a lot more older woman, younger man. So yeah, she's, like I said, she's 38, he's 29, he's fine as hell. They have a connection. They end up at a hotel room. They have an incredible night together. And then a week later, she finds out that he's just been hired as her son's new teacher.
Awkward.
I especially loved writing the part where she finds out that he's her son's new teacher.
I have it on pre-order, so I can't wait to read it.
So that was a fun part to read, to write, and it's actually even a fun part for me to read. When I go back and I read it, I'm just like, I find myself laughing. That's something that I find myself whenever I get into imposter syndrome. I'll go back and I'll read something, and if I think, you know what, I still like this and I still find it funny, and I'm the one who's read it like a cajillion times because I wrote it, and I take that. I'm like, I'll take it. That's a good sign for me. If I still find it funny, as far as I'm concerned, that's a good sign.
Yes.
So they try to, keep it professional, just a parent, just a teacher will just like let that go. But of course they can't, because they are just drawn to each other. And so they have like a somewhat secret lovers thing going on. And, I'm not going to give away too much, but kind of go from there. There's a nosy school mom who is trying to find out about them. There's her ex-husband who's also like getting into their business, and there's family members who don't really approve, and then there's family and friends that are supportive. So it's just the story of these two people meeting in the most unusual of circumstances, finding out what their relationship is to one another, given her son's inadvertent involvement,
right?
and pretty much just go from there. I mean, obviously it's a romance, so it does end in an HEA, but
I love it.
Take the journey, find out how to get to the HEA.
I as we were talking about before while we were backstage, I found the funnier parts for me, like the banter between the soon-to-be couple in all of your books, is always great, but I always love like the family interactions because I come from a very big Italian family, so a lot of that stuff also happens in my family. So it's like,
okay, is your family still in Philly?
My father's side is, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get invited for like some Italian dinner because I fuck with Italian food.
Trust me, my grandmother lives with my mom and she cooks regularly. You can come down here and you can have a authentic Italian.
Because I'm like I said, I'm hoping to be in Nashville for One Love. So if there's a way that we can make that happen,
yeah.
I'll tell my husband, be like, we're gonna go visit Alicia's house and get some Italian food.
And that'll be so much fun.
My kids like Italian food too, so that'll work.
Oh, perfect. That was my next question because I have so many friends with kids who hate Italian food.
Yeah, they can be pretty picky. Like Mikey will, they're so cute. Mikey will deconstruct a pizza and then just like eat the pepperoni and cheese first, and then eat the crust. And then he'll eat like for pasta.
Really?
He'll eat the meat first and then start eating the pasta. Meanwhile, Alexander will just eat the pasta. They're adorable and silly.
Kids are so interesting with how they eat stuff.
They're my cute, adorable little quirky munchkins.
And if you don't mind, because you're technically a independent author, correct? Like a self-published?
Self-published, yeah.
Yes. So what is your writing process? Because you do have a day job, you do have kids. How do you fit it all in?
I have a really supportive husband.
Fantastic.
I have a really supportive husband. I cannot stress that enough. He did order some Italian.
Any conversation with me always ends up in food. Always ends up in food.
My husband, he works full time. He, like I mentioned when we were backstage, he works in IT. So I lucked out. It was funny. My friend Nikki Blair, she's also an author. I have this group, a Sunday group of Black writers who write romance and erotica. We meet once a week on Sunday afternoons, and I picked.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's a really fun group. It's pretty much the group size fluctuates from week to week. So every now and then it could be like 3 people, and then one week it could end up being 10 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
We don't like do writing sprints or anything. I am part of a group that does that though. But we just talk. We talk about what we're reading, what we're writing, what work how did our week go, what we're having for dinner. We just talk. And I said, this writing thing is a very, very isolating thing.
Yeah. And as someone who's trying to write, yes.
Yeah. And when you add other adversity to it, it becomes even more isolating. Like, oh, I'm a woman writer and I'm a Black writer, and
right.
I want to be able to find people who write what I write and who do what I do. So when I saw so many people saying that on Twitter, I said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and make a group, because I don't see I see a few groups that are towards one particular thing, but I wanted my group to just be, hey, let's just meet on Sundays, start our week off right, talk, shoot the shit, and just have fun. And that's pretty much what we do. So I forgot where I was going with this. Where was I going?
Your writing process.
Yes, thank you. So I don't even know where I went from.
It happens.
It does. I know. But that's one of the things that we actually do talk about. We talk about our writing process. We talk about like a few people are what I would call OGs. Like they have 16 books out. They've been doing this for a minute. And then there's some people who are just starting and who are about to release their debut. And folks will ask questions like, well, what do you guys do? What do you do? How do you do this? And anybody's welcome. It's predominantly the people who show up now are predominantly women, but welcome for anybody. And we've had all kinds of people show up. So
that's awesome.
But like for me personally, when I write a novella, I pants it, and when I write a novel, I plants it.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
I'll write like a little bit of plot, maybe a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of a synopsis, and then from there, it's time to start writing, I'll kind of just like do a copy and paste because I write in Word, and then just kind of like fill in the blanks. So that's kind of my writing process, but I guess
that makes me feel better about my own writing. That makes me feel better. I piece it together with stuff. Like, I don't write in sequential order, I guess.
What's funny is that I kind of write in sequential order, but I kind of don't. It's kind of weird because when I do copy and paste it, it's like, okay, here's because the thing that I'm copying and pasting is probably something that happened in the middle of the book.
Yeah.
It happens in the beginning.
Right.
So I write at the beginning, and then I'll say, okay, we're at the part where I wrote this previously. Let me go ahead and put this in and then fill it out. And that way it makes sense. So, and then keep going. But as long as I have a general idea, like I know a lot of people, they'll write out a whole outline, they'll write out character synopsis, they'll write out all that stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? More power to you, because I tried doing that and it just does not work for me. So I just end up pantsing whenever I do that.
Yeah. So. I feel like you have to try everything out to see what works best for you. Like, I know some people that plotting everything out works for them, and I know some people that like flying by the seat of your pants works for them. I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, definitely in the middle. Let's see, for Hot for Teacher, first off, the idea came to me from an SNL sketch. There's a sketch that came out a few years ago, and it was after I think it was season 2 of Ted Lasso ended. And it was the host was Jason Sudeikis, who of course had been a cast member way back then. And it was a parent-teacher conference sketch, and it was him and see, there's another thing about names. I want to make sure I say this woman's name right. Ego Nwodim. She's a Black female cast member, and she's hilarious. I cannot wait for her career to blow up. She is so funny. I think one of the most it was actually one of the most talked about sketches recently that she was in, and it was with oh God, he played oh God, I forgot the actor's name. I'm forgetting people's names today. He's Joel in The Last of Us, and he's Oberyn
Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say Oberyn Martell.
Yeah, exactly.
He hosted an episode recently, and it was a sketch where they're in a restaurant, and she like orders her steak super, super hard, and she's like trying to cut into it, and she's like knocking stuff down on the table. So
I remember. Yep. I remember that one.
Sketches that she was in, and it was like super, super funny. So that's her. So it was her, Jason Sudeikis, and Kyle Mooney. And Kyle Mooney played her husband, and Jason Sudeikis played the teacher, and she of course played the mom. And they're just, her and Jason Sudeikis are just like flirting with each other. And flirting just increases and increases and increases. And the sketch ends with the two of them making out on top of his desk in front of her husband.
Oh my goodness. And hey, great inspiration.
Yeah, it was a hilarious sketch. Nothing that happens in the sketch happens in my book. I just want to make that perfectly clear. However, when I watched it, I was like, parent-teacher romance, that would be fun to write. So it's funny how like your story starts out one way and then you realize, okay, this isn't working. Let me figure out how to pivot to another way, because this was actually going to be an interracial romance. Nathan was going to be called Nick, and he was going to look like Henry Cavill. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry, Henry, this isn't working. I loved you as Superman, but this isn't working. And I will put you in a book. I don't know when, but I will put like somebody inspired, character inspired by you. Like
you can't go wrong with Henry Cavill. Ever. Yeah, ever.
In a book eventually, just not this one.
Ever.
I changed it from Nick to Nathan, made him African American. I at one point Latrice was a widow. Then I decided to give her an ex-husband, and her ex-husband Mark is now in the book, and he plays a fairly prominent role. And yeah, at first she didn't have any siblings, and Nadia was just one of her girlfriends. And then I decided to make Nadia her sister, and I decided to make Drea, who you're going to meet, also her former sister-in-law and best friend. And then I decided to give her a brother, Thad. And then once I realized I had 3 siblings, I was like, oh, 3 siblings. Trilogy. I immediately contacted Lenny and I said, hey, so that book that I asked you to do the cover for, you think you could do the cover for the other 2?
I love it.
It's not going to be a trilogy. You want to do the cover for the other 2?
I love it. That's awesome.
So yeah, in May we're going to collaborate, and I'm going to give her the ideas because the second book in the series is you'll know who all these characters are when the book comes out. But the second book in the series follows Thaddeus, Latrice's younger brother, and his relationship with Drea, her best friend. So
I've always loved that name, Thaddeus. I don't know why. I've always loved it.
I went to a high school with a guy named Thaddeus. He was hilarious. He was really cool. I hope he's doing it. Anyways,
you randomly think of someone, you're like, I haven't seen them since I was 18, but I'm wondering, I hope they're okay.
Yeah, that just popped in my head. I didn't even name the character after him. I just thought it would be a really great name. Like my husband has a friend named Thad, and I was not even thinking of him either.
It just popped in.
I was like, this is a good name. I like whenever I think of like last names, I'm like, okay, let's think of a first name that'll go really great with that. The last name is Richardson. Thaddeus Richardson. That works.
I like it.
Yeah, so that one comes out late next year, and it's called Spend My Life With You, because my thing is, I don't know about you, but I can't think of titles to save my life, so my titles tend to be named after songs.
I like that.
The difference is Where There's Smoke. That was supposed to be a placeholder. Well, the whole entire title is Where There Is Smoke, There Is Fire.
Right.
That was supposed to be a placeholder because Aaron's nickname, of course, is Smoke.
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of anything else, so I just left it. But This Christmas, obviously, is a song. Hot for Teacher, obviously, is a song. And Spend My Life With You.
I was wondering if you got the Hot for Teacher from a song, or if I was like, no, I'm thinking too hard into it.
I totally got that from the Van Halen song. Okay. And Take Care. Take Care is also from a song because I'm obsessed with the Jackson family. And that's one of my favorite Janet Jackson songs.
I thought that was a Janet Jackson song, but I thought I could be wrong.
No, it is. It's funny because I have a friend who has a book. I don't know if it just came out or if it's coming out. And her book is called When I Think of You, which, of course, is on the Control album. And
I love that song.
It's like my favorite song of hers. It's one of my favorite songs of hers. I have the whole list. I love Queen Janet. Anyways.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
But yeah, I name things after songs because I just can't. I'm like, titles can't like people who title their chapters don't
I love it, but I can't do it.
I can't do it. Just you're gonna get chapter 16, whoever's POV it's in. Chapter 16, Thad. Chapter 17, Drea. Chapter 15, Latrice. Chapter 16, Nathan. That's how it's gonna go. I can't title. I can barely title my book. I am not titling.
But I wanted to also talk about, with you being self-published, what was the first book that you can remember where you read it and you're like, I want to do that. I want to be an author myself. Is there a specific moment that it just like light bulbed in your brain?
Interesting was that not an author, but because going to the theater geek thing.
Yes.
I've read some form or fashion since I was 10. I didn't start thinking about it like, oh, hey, I can make money doing this, or I can make a career doing this until really I was in college, because it didn't really it's not that it didn't occur to me, it's just that I didn't realize that would be like a realistic path. I figured, well, I'm taking theater because I wanted to give acting a try, and then I came to the realization I am too much of a control freak to be an actor, because too much of your career isn't.
I'm an introvert, so that was like when I was a theater kid, I was like, but I love it.
But my concentrations ended up being playwriting and stage directing. I realized stage directing is perfect for me because I don't do it obviously as much because I've pivoted to writing novels. But if like I have a friend who has her own theater company that I'm actually a board member of, which I sometimes forget about. I'm bored of this. It's called Vagrancy. Her name is Caitlin. And I remember she did like a thing called a 24-hour play cycle, where a person writes a play, it gets cast, and it gets rehearsed and performed all in a 24-hour cycle. And
that's awesome.
I directed something for her. So yeah, playwriting and stage directing were like my concentrations, because I told myself I am too much of a control freak to be an actor, but I'm not enough of a control freak to be a stage manager. I say that about all because stage managers work hard. I said I am not as much of a control freak to do that, and that's like a really great trait to have to be a stage manager.
Yeah.
You're running everything. Like when friends of mine, I have friends that thank God the strike is over. They're still obviously picketing because they're striking
Right.
SAG actors now. But I have friends that are WGA members, and
So do I.
and whenever I'm telling somebody what like a stage manager does, I
Mhm.
tell them, "Do you know what a showrunner is?" And they're like, "Yeah, like that's what the stage manager
Basically, yeah. Pretty much same thing.
Well, yeah, my writing for like a career was playwriting at first. I was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna win a Tony.
Yeah.
I'm gonna win an award that's named after August Wilson or something like that.
Right. I still have that pipe dream someday.
Maybe it'll happen. I'm talking about me and not you. I'm sure for you.
Oh no, I know.
But yeah, I pivoted to like wanting to do television writing, which a lot of my friends do now. But I just came to the realization again, not enough control. So then I thought, you know what? I love comic books. I've always loved comic books. So then I pivoted to, you know, being an author, being a comic book writer, and also being a novelist. I'll have a lot more control with that, especially being indie, because I'll be able to like come up with my titles, come up with my cover, come up with their and that became something that I just became really attached to. And this is like all those other forms of writing that I've done, I enjoy doing, but this feels more like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
It fits.
Like, I enjoy doing all that stuff, but this feels different this time. And I do have a book that did make a huge impression on me, and I'm sure you could ask any Gen X Black woman, and they'll probably give you the same answer, which is Mildred Taylor's Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry.
I had to read. Yep, I read the book. Yep.
Cassie being, I think she was 10 years old, and I was 10 years old when I read it.
Yeah, so I was in 6th grade when it was required reading in my middle school.
Yeah, it wasn't required reading. I just read it for fun because I saw it and I was like, I want to go ahead and I want to read this book. So I went ahead and I read it. And reading a book about a little Black girl who was the same age as me at the time,
right?
You know, and that really made an impression on me. And I've always been in love with the written word. So just making a way to have a career out of it has just been really a godsend. And it's funny because I sometimes find myself I feel like in society we have this weird idea that if you have a job, then it has to be something that, you know, you can't derive pleasure from.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Yeah, because we're always constantly being, you know, it's the rat race, and you know, getting the job, getting promoted, doing this, doing that, blah blah blah.
The milestones.
Yeah, the milestones. We're always like, you know, pushing ourselves. And my mom is no longer with us. She passed away 11 years ago, but she was a single parent, and she worked jobs that she had to in order to take care of us. And my mom was born in 1943, and I remember reading in her yearbook that she wanted to be a secretary. And I thought, my mom was an incredibly brilliant woman, and she went to college late in life.
Okay.
And she got a degree in sociology and African American studies. So she instilled two things in her children, which was a love of our heritage and our culture, and a love of reading. So I oftentimes would think, you know, being from a Black girl who was born in 1943 from Galveston, Texas, her biggest ambition was to be a secretary.
Right.
And I remember thinking, if her experiences had been a lot more open, what could my mom have accomplished?
Right.
And here I am, next generation. My opportunities are bigger than hers because of what she had to go through.
Right.
So the idea that I can have a dream, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
The idea that I can have this dream, this thing that I've loved doing pretty much my entire life, and I can actually make a career out of it, and my children can see me doing something that I love doing, because I watched my mom work jobs that she hated because she had to.
Right.
And I would rather my children be able to see me do something that it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot. Being an indie author is a lot because it's 24/7.
And it's all on you.
And it's all on you.
Right.
The cost of everything is all on you. doing promo, doing marketing, all that stuff is all on you. But at the same time, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. I love my 9 to 5. I love where I work. I like my coworkers. But I would be lying if I said that my dream was to have, 9 to 5 in addition to having writing as a side hustle. Like, no, I want writing to be my full hustle. I want to be able to do this full time all the time. And that's pretty much the goal that I'm aiming towards. And I want my babies to be able to see that and see that mommy's doing something that she loves doing, but she's also doing it for us too.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing, is seeing a parent or someone actually love what they're doing. And it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you love what you're doing, it sends a more positive light when your kids or family members are looking at your accomplishments, I think.
Yeah, because I don't want my kids to think of work as being something that's arduous and painful and something that they just don't look forward to.
Yeah.
Like I've had jobs that I didn't like, and I don't want to ever be in that position again.
Yeah.
And I saw it with my own mom, and I don't ever want my children to see me being that miserable.
Yeah.
I want them to see mommy being happy doing something that she's doing. Just like when I was a kid, I am like going to school. I didn't start liking school till I was in college.
Same, really. I was the same way.
Yeah, but as of right now, my kids, they're like I told you, they're special needs, but they absolutely love school. And because we've come such a long way in the way that we approach children who are special needs, they're able to like school a lot more.
Yeah.
I want them to be able to go further and see, getting an education doesn't have to be painful. It can actually be an enjoyable experience. Working does not have to be arduous. It can actually be incredible experience too if you find something that you're passionate about doing and you figure out a way to monetize it. Because the idea that art, I'm gonna go on a tangent.
Go ahead. Feel free. Tangent away. My channel is full of tangents. Tangent away.
But the idea that art is somehow not as important as STEM. I get that STEM is important. Of course it is. Math and science, of course that's important. But the idea that the arts, because it involves, entertainment or whatever, is somehow not important. It's why do you think these people were striking and were protesting? Because they weren't being paid a fair wage.
Right.
These movies and these TV shows that we love are created by writers and actors. Without them, there's nothing.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's why I want to make sure that once I get to the point where I'm working full time and I'm able to contribute to my family, that financially, while also doing something that I love doing, I want my babies to be able to pay attention to mommy doing that. That's amazing.
That's amazing. So, sorry, my allergies are really bad. I apologize.
They're bad too. My allergies are bad. I don't even call it seasonal because it's all year long.
It's just it's constant. Everybody's like, "Oh, seasonal for you?" I'm like, "No, this is all the time."
Like, I live in Los Angeles. We have like, I don't even know what's going on. It's like dust, the seasons. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, I'm always constantly sneezing. I'm always constantly like coughing or something, and
I'm always clearing my throat.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not sick.
Yeah,
I know I don't have COVID because I work from home. I'm not around anybody.
Exactly. I don't. The only two people I see are my mom and my boyfriend and my grandmother. That's it.
The only person I see all day is my dog Abraham. So
I love that your dog's name is Abraham. I read that in your bio. I was like, oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, it's funny because we found him. He has like the cutest origin story. I'm just gonna say it real quickly. Okay.
No, go ahead. You talk about dogs all day long. I'm happy about it.
This young woman was at a Starbucks and she was waiting for somebody to come into the store. That way she could ask them to take her dog. And she saw my husband. My husband's one of those people who likes animals more than people. So
I'm with him now. I'm with him on that one.
So she walked up to him and she said, "You seem like a really nice man. I need somebody to take my dog or else I'm going to have to take him to a shelter." And of course, shelters out here, trigger warning, there are a lot of kill shelters out
Yeah.
here. And Abraham is a pit, and those are like the biggest breed that usually end up having to get put down.
Right. And because a lot of the times, the stigma of
yeah. And I'm in Los Angeles, which is, fairly open-minded and fairly liberal theoretically.
Yeah, in theory.
Places where if you try to rent an apartment or something, no pits, no Rottweilers, no Dobermans, and they don't take German Shepherds either. So there's a lot of places that are like that.
Wow.
Take big breeds.
I've heard of you can't have animals here, period, but not like where you can't have a certain breed.
They have some that are breed specific. So they'll say, oh, you can have a small dog, or you can have a cat, but you can't have like a big dog or whatever. A lot of apartments are like that out here. So
interesting.
She walks up to Joe. This is when he was still my boyfriend before we were married. And she said, you seem like a nice man, and I need a good home for my dog. Can you please take him? So then they go outside. They see Abraham, and it just so happens not only is Joe an animal lover, he is a dog lover, and pits are his favorite breed.
Oh, it was meant to be.
Yeah. We've had Abraham for 11 years now, and
I love it.
We went to Chicago to visit Joe's family. And his parents at the time had all these little small dogs that Abraham was playing with. So then when we brought Abraham back home, he seemed lonely. So that's when we went and got Maya.
Oh, I love it. I'm a dog person. I love it. This is the longest I've gone without having an animal because of where I live right now. But you can't have animals. But eventually I'll get a dog again.
Yeah, we did decide, not even because of, nothing because of Abraham, but we did decide that when the time comes, like when they both, because they're both getting up there in age, when they do pass on, if we do get another dog, I told him we can't get another pit. It was the people that we were around.
Right.
Made it a huge headache. And I said, we can't do it again.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, I know. And so if we ever get another dog, when Hammy and Maya, who we call Pie, if when they do pass on, we're probably just gonna get something like a beagle or just a small house dog. Yeah, having a pit is great because they're really great dogs, but at the same time, it's frustrating having to deal with people.
Yeah,
folks are very ignorant when it comes to the breed
and just the assumptions.
Yeah. So
I wanted to we talked about this a little bit backstage, but I absolutely loved your banter and take care between Jamila and Amari, because that was like my favorite part of the whole novella. Like I was like, it's like my catnip. Just give me all the witty banter in the whole entire world. I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, like I said, I love doing that. I love writing sex scenes, but I also like writing like the goofy little chats that they have with each other, with each other, and where they're having fun. I have banter between Nathan and Latrice, so you'll like that.
Yeah.
Because their romance is like so secret, because they can't like let anybody know.
Right.
They don't want to risk Quincy finding out. They want Quincy to find out, because the plan for them is, obviously we can't be together. I don't want my son finding out, so we're not going to actually. People aren't going to know that we're actually together until the end of the school year, when you're no longer his teacher. So that's
right. Just for so it's not like a conflict of interest type of thing.
Yeah. At one point, his job becomes kind of like a little. His job becomes like in jeopardy as well.
Right.
So that's why they definitely there's folks within their in respective families and friendships that know about it, but they're trying to keep it on the low. So for the most part, a lot of their banter happens. A good number of their banter happens in person, but a lot of their banter happens with them talking on the phone, because they obviously they're in the midst of getting to know each other better.
Right.
At the same time, they're also not interacting in person as much as they would like to, like a normal couple would. So that leaves phone conversations. And I have 3 or 4 phone conversations between the two of them. So there's some banter there. One of them is a phone sex conversation. A lot of witty banter and stuff, and a lot of them just teasing each other and dealing.
I love it.
So yeah,
I love it.
I think you'll love that.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I already have it on pre-order. I'm just waiting for October.
Thank you so much. I want this because it takes because it's about teachers in school. I was just like, it has to come out in the fall because
it's the perfect time of year. Perfect. It's great. And to go a little bit more into your characters with where there's smoke, there's fire. Like I like how you started when they were younger, when they just met, and you went throughout their whole relationship with certain plot points or certain milestones. Like the birth of their kids, the getting together, the original like issues that would normally break someone up in a romance novel. Normally, they talk through it, and I appreciated that because that's not one of my biggest pet peeves as a romance reader. Like, I hate the third act breakup.
Okay, you know what's funny? I don't mind a third act breakup. My only thing is when the third act breakup. Excuse me, my foot fell asleep. I gotta.
No, you're fine.
Is when the third act breakup happens and you're like 85% into the book.
That's the biggest thing. That's what irritates me. I'm like, but there's like 100 pages left. That bothers me.
Yeah. So I've gone out of my way to try to avoid that. But what's funny is I've actually read books that do pull it off, and I did find myself enjoying it, even though there was a third act breakup. But just personally for me, I'm not gonna say that you're never gonna see a third act breakup in any of my books because that's ridiculous. But
yes,
you'll probably see one. But my goal is to try to make it so that it doesn't come across like, oh, we had this horrible misunderstanding that we could have easily have talked out because we're both adults.
Just having a conversation.
Have a conversation. I'm mad at you. Oh, yeah. And then in the last 15%, oh, I misunderstood you. I misunderstood you too. I love you too. Yeah.
I feel like it had like if it was that's what I liked about it is that they had misunderstandings, but they also talked it out. Like it was understandable misunderstandings because they got together in their early 20s. That happens. Like it's also like you can not talk to me for a couple days, but we're gonna talk this out. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Because that, like, I literally read books sometimes and I'm like, just talk to each other. It's not that hard.
Yeah, well, Where There's Smoke takes place over the course of 15 years. So, like you
said, it's a large chunk.
We meet them when they're not even together, and then they get together, and at first it's just like a casual sexual relationship.
Yeah.
Aaron or Smoke, who is, has women. All these women in his phone, and he's a
player.
And he ends up being the one who falls first. And
that I really liked because usually it's the most novels it's the woman, and I really appreciated that it was the guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of a sucker for he falls first. That's like one of my favorites. So I definitely wanted it like, okay, I'm gonna have reformed Rake and he falls first because that's just
I love the reformed Rake trope. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Like, reformed Rake, and he's the one who falls in love first, and that's just there's a micro trope. Courtney Michaels. Courtney and I are in the same writing group. It's Tasha L. Harrison's group, Word Makers.
Okay.
And
Tasha L. Harrison and I follow each other on Twitter. I love her.
She's great.
I love her.
And a whole bunch of us are like in the group together. It's me, Courtney, so many. Carmen Lee, who was also, I call her by her real name. I call her Chris. Mia Heiselman, Mika James. There's a whole bunch of us in there.
Yeah.
And
Mia is fantastic. I've had a conversation with her. She's great.
Mia's great, and
I love her.
Spoke to her this morning. She was talking about how much of a hugger she is.
I love her.
She's like, you're not a hugger. She goes, people who know me who aren't huggers, it was funny. She was just like, they know it's Mia. I'll give her like half a hug because I know that.
I come from a big family, so I'm a hugger. So I always ask first. But I come from a big family, so I'm used to people who like to hug.
But yeah, Mia's amazing, and she has a book coming out too in October, and I know,
I'm so excited when I saw it was based on Clue. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah, it's the Clue one because I was just like,
yes,
what is it? Because I know she has like a whole bunch of stuff coming out.
I just picked up her Trivial Pursuit one.
Trivial Pursuit one, and
yeah,
I have Love too.
Monopoly Love was fantastic. I did that with a book club with my friend Aaron from Aaron's Reading Room. I did that on his channel as a book club, and I like the next day I think I ordered all of her books. I was like, I must own everything.
Well, hopefully she sees this and she'll be happy to hear that. She'll definitely be happy to hear that, and hopefully she sees this episode.
Yeah,
but a whole bunch of us are in the group, and I think it was a Thursday. It was definitely a Thursday because Rom Talk was happening, and we're like answering the question. I don't know if you ever participated in Rom Talk, but
I haven't, but I know what it is.
Okay, so we were answering like various questions, and they were talking about different tropes. And I said, this is a micro trope that I absolutely love. And I said, me and my friend Courtney talked about how much we love it like months before. And it's the trope where this doesn't happen in Hot for Teacher, by the way, but it is a trope that I love, and it's going to happen in Spend My Life with You with Thad and Drea. So we'll be on the lookout when that comes out next year. But the micro trope, Courtney, I named it the fuck your parents trope. It's the trope where one of the main characters comes from a dysfunctional family, and the other main character, the love interest, basically just curses them out and just lays waste to them and leaves nothing but because like the one who comes from the dysfunctional family, it's typically like an abusive situation where the family is always like very disrespectful or mean to them, and like the part like defending them, like, and I love it no matter what. I don't care if it's the woman defending the man defending the woman, a man defending a man, a woman defending. I do not care. I just love that trope.
I didn't realize that was a trope, but I love it. Like that's so interesting.
That's just, I don't even know if it's a trope, but we just kind of called it a micro trope.
I love it. I'm gonna use that
because you named it the fuck your parents trope, but it could be used for anything. Like perfect example is there's a book by Kasha Thompson, or if I mispronounced your name, Kasha, I'm really sorry, but it's either Kasha or Kasha Thompson, and she has this book called Defensive Stance, where the male main character is an NBA player, and the female main character goes to like a dinner to like I believe it's the NBA team's, the owner's house, and she just rips into him. She rips into the boss.
Love it. I love it.
The boss, I think, said something disrespectful about the main character, and she was just like, "Oh no, not on my watch." So it's not necessarily parents, but it's just like the ripping into people and leaving scorched earth. That's
you didn't have the parent trope, but you had the friend trope, because I remember reading in where there's smoke, and his friend Antonio. They got into it over.
Tone get into a fight because Tone disrespected Kara, and he
It's like,
here's the thing that you're always going. There's something that like all the male main characters in my books, and like even some of the female main characters, they stand up for their people. They will stand up for their people, and
I love it.
The main characters, they will beat somebody's ass if they have to. They all know how to fight, and they will beat somebody's ass over their woman. There was this thing on Twitter that said, "What are the 5 things you will find in your book?" And I said, "Men who love their women, they love their women down,
hard,
family shenanigans." What else do we find? Food and lots of sex.
Yes,
I forgot what the 5th one was, but those are the things that you're finding in my books.
I love that too. Like that's actually one of my questions. It's funny you brought it up. That like a lot of the conversations and a lot of the big events happen around food, and coming from a large family, that's normal. Like everything happens around usually a large meal, and most likely a holiday or someone's birthday or something.
Yeah. Well, it's because my things usually center around like friendships and you know, whether it's found family or biological family or whatever you want to say. Because a lot of my stories center around that, there's usually always going to be food involved.
I love it.
I wouldn't call myself a foodie. I'm just somebody who likes to eat. So
I'm with you there. I will eat.
but yeah, so there's always going to be food, and like I'm not going to take it to the level of somebody who actually like knows what they're doing, like Taj McCoy, because Taj, I believe, aside from being an agent and an author, I believe she was a former chef. And
I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Well, if you read her, I remember I was reading her book. Oh God, why am I forgetting the name of stuff?
Is it the purple cover? I can't think of the name.
Yes, it's not. It's not Zora. It's the book that came out before it. It's
something
Good as Hell.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. We figured it out.
I know that's part of the title, but I know that there's a lot more to it. Let me just go ahead and Google it.
Yeah.
Taj McCoy. Taj is really cool too. I got to meet her not that long ago because
That's awesome.
Because I live in LA. Whenever there's like some sort of a event at Ripped Bodice, Savvy Sheldon feels good as hell.
That's it.
Savvy can cook her little self off. And I remember I was reading this and I was like, I
need food.
I sent a message to Taj on Twitter and I said, this book is making me hungry.
Yeah.
Do you know how to cook like this? And she goes, yeah, I do. And I was like, you need to make me something because it's not, I don't want to like put that out there just in case it ends up, being not happening like for several years or
shifting
or taking some time. But one of the things that Taj mentioned at Ripped Bodice when she was doing the talk was potentially doing a cookbook, and I was like, if you do a cookbook, look, I'm gonna.
There needs to be more cookbooks based around authors' books because there's a market for it.
I think that was something that I think that's what she actually mentioned was like, having the recipes that was in her novels like as a cookbook. I think
that's awesome.
I believe that was the idea. Not sure when it's gonna come out, but it was something that she mentioned, and I was like, okay, if that happens, then I'm definitely getting it. But yeah, I don't go that deep into it because I'm not like I don't have that level of skill. but food does get mentioned in my books because, family, friends getting together, all that. Food makes an appearance. So that's
and I also really liked the friends as family trope, like Janae. Can I have Janae as like a best friend? I love
Janae. I want Janae as a best friend too.
Like she was fantastic.
Yeah, she was great. And that was like so much fun for me to write her. And I wanted to make sure that she was portrayed in the most respectful manner possible. So I found it was pretty tough too, but I found an amazing sensitivity reader. And her name is Giselle James. She's wonderful. She is a poet. And let me see if I can find her at on Twitter here. But she is so wonderful. And what's funny was when she and I were talking, because after she read the book and she gave me notes, we met up on Zoom, and she said, I thought that you would be kind of reluctant to a lot of the ideas that I have, open-minded to it. She was really, really like pleased that I was open-minded, and
that's great.
I thought, well, if I wasn't going to be open-minded to it, then I would not have reached out to her, and I definitely wouldn't have wasted her time, because I honestly don't even get when folks do that, because I've actually heard that folks do it, and I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything. It's your book, your name is on it, you do what you feel you have to, that's best for the story. But I don't understand when people hire somebody like a proofreader or an editor or a sensitivity reader or something, and then they just like outright reject the note. And I think the reason why it's so difficult for me is because, just going back to the whole theater thing, it was impressed upon me, like for directing actors and for directing stuff, this is a collaborative process. Like for me, revisions, I love revisions. There are a lot of people who just don't like doing revisions at all because they find it very either tedious or repetitive or whatever. And for me, I love doing revisions because in my little theater geek head, revisions are the equivalent of rehearsals, and I always had
Right.
fun at rehearsals, and I loved rehearsals. And why do we rehearse? We rehearse to make the performance stronger.
Exactly.
Why do we do revisions? To make the book stronger. So the idea of like letting go of somebody's notes and not paying attention to them, that would never even occur to me.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, why would I ask this person and like waste their time asking them to do this for me only to turn around and not listen to what they have to tell me? Especially in a situation where, I mean, that's the whole entire reason to get a sensitivity reader.
Right.
I'm cis. I'm a trans character. I don't understand the trans experience because I'm not trans. So why?
And you want to make sure you're doing it respectfully
and authentically. So why would I not listen? So it was interesting when we were talking, and she said that she was prepared for me to like reject her ideas, and I was like, no, I asked you to read this for a reason. And the notes that she gave me were absolutely chef's kiss. They were amazing. And I thought, I wouldn't have even thought to put this in here. So I loved writing Janae. She was such a really fun character, and she was definitely more fleshed out and made into more of a stronger character because of Miss James. So
fantastic. It's so interesting like that you brought up that you love like collaborating and revisions and stuff like that, because I went to school for journalism. My favorite class was copy editing. I love like just being able to pull things apart and just be like, what did you mean in this spot? Like that's just how my brain works.
Yeah, like when I always get embarrassed whenever I send my draft to be beta read. Because at that point, I'm the only person who's read it. I'm the only person who's seen it. So then I send it over to somebody to beta read it. And like for Take Care, Rayshawn Love, or we call her Randy, she beta read that. And Where There's Smoke and Hot for Teacher, Mika James beta read that.
Right. Oh, okay.
They both, like, I love the notes that they leave because they'll have conversations with the characters. Like,
that's awesome.
Mika will write something like, "Sir, what are you doing right now?" And she also
I love it.
And she'll ask a lot of questions. Like, she'll give you thorough notes. Like, she'll give you thorough notes in the margins. She'll ask questions in the margins of your manuscript. She'll give you thorough notes within the email. And then she'll just kind of like give you an idea of, because basically what I think of when I think of beta reading is, I see the direction you're trying to go into. Let's help you get there.
I kind of do the same thing. Beta read too. Yeah.
I feel like that's what a beta reader does. Like, they see where you're going. You may have taken a wrong turn, so now they're like, let's get you back on.
Let's pivot a little bit.
So, and it's funny because, like I said, you're the only person who's like been looking at this, and then you send it to somebody else, and they're reading it, and they're just like, oh, why is this happening? And then you're like, yeah, why did that happen?
Exactly. I forget what the term is called, but it's like a psychology term of like, if you read something so much just to yourself, the corrections that you make in your head that you don't write down, you just think are there because you've read it to yourself so many times.
Yeah, like,
I forget what the term is.
But I know that it's in my head. It's funny because that you say that, because in your brain, you know that there's something that's supposed to be in there.
Right.
It automatically just puts it in there.
And you don't realize you wrote it down. You didn't write it down until you send it off.
Write that down. So you're relying on the reader to just kind of like read your mind. And it's like, no, that's not
exactly.
Put that down.
I've beta read for a couple of friends that are authors, so I kind of do the same thing.
Yeah,
you just have to be like, here.
I spoke to my friends about. I've spoken to Mika about it. I've spoken to Randy about it. I remember speaking to my friend Lisa about it, and I remember Lisa was saying to me, she said, "We all do it. Like, there's no point." She said, "There's no point." She said, "There's no point in getting embarrassed. We all do it."
Yeah, so, everybody does.
I find myself getting embarrassed. Like, oh my god, I skipped from like. I skipped an entire like month, and I mentioned the month earlier, and then
it just makes me feel better to hear that other people do it too.
It's not even so much obviously there is some comfort in knowing that, oh, okay, so even the best people who have done this for years, even
Right.
they do this too. Oh, okay, good.
A weight off the shoulders.
Yeah. But it's definitely like going through the process. I love the process. Like Jessica Berry, she edited Where There's Smoke and Hot for Teacher, and Jazz Wilson was my editor for Take Care.
Mhm.
And just the notes that they give, and a lot of the notes that Jessica will give, she'll just put something like, "Oh my god, this is funny. I love this part," and it will just be like regular copy editing stuff. But then
Yeah,
she'll write stuff like, "Oh, I love this part. I love this part." Like,
I love it.
you'll appreciate this because you read Take Care. There was the part where Tennille says to Amari, "If you even think about telling mom that what I did, she'll something along the lines of, if you tell mom what I did, it's not gonna work because then she's gonna be mad at you because you waited so long."
You didn't say anything. Yeah. And highlighted that.
Jazz, my editor, on the notes, she said, "That sounds like something that a niece or a nephew would say."
Exactly. Part of me wants to be like, I hope you write more in this like novella series, because I kind of want like everybody's story, like all the friends at the club and stuff like that.
I am planning on writing a one. I don't know. I'm planning on releasing it next year. My plan. I'm just saying my plan. I want to be perfectly clear. My plan is 3 books next year, so 2 novellas and Spend My Life with You. And one of the novellas, I don't have a title for it yet, but it's Kenya and Ramon's story.
I was kind of hoping you would say you would write that one. Yay! Yay!
Yeah, so Kenya and Ramon get a story, and it's basically like the gist of it that I have in my head is, you remember when Tennille mentioned that her father was getting married?
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be a wedding, and Kenya gets invited, and she doesn't want to seem like, bitter or jealous or blah, 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 or whatever. So she's like, fine, I'll go, but I don't want to go by myself because I don't want people like looking at me. So she gets Ramon to go with her.
Ramon was one of favorite characters of mine, even though he wasn't in it for that long. I was like, I want to know his backstory.
Yeah, he's I loved him. He's great. Like the idea that this 6'8" like former Marine is like the head of security at oh god, at a cabaret. Mm-hmm. I love that. I love the idea of that, and I just thought, I like to take I guess I like doing subversions.
Yeah.
Of ideas. Like for the most part, Aaron is a hood dude. He grew up in Inglewood.
Yeah.
He's strong. He could fight. He loves the ladies, but he smokes weed occasionally. So he has all those ideas that you think of when you think of a dude that's that's hood.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he could build you a house and play classical piano.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he secretly built. I need to find somebody that can build me a house.
Like he can fix stuff. He could
build
a house. He can play classical piano, and he's also he's also very sensitive too.
Yeah.
And it's funny because somebody who read it, I think it was an ARC reader, she told me that he was like one of the in recent memory, one of the best male main characters that she read in a long time. And I think that was one of the reasons that she said it, was because he was, you had the masculinity there, but it wasn't toxic.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, because like I feel like a lot of, the books I was used to growing up, it was always the toxic masculinity, the overprotective to like annoying phase. But I like that, like, even though you saw him grow and change throughout the 15 years that you covered in the book, he could still turn on, like, do that if he needed to, because you knew that was still in there, but it wasn't like his main view of the world anymore.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm paying attention. I just want to put something in the chat. I want to put Miss Giselle's her her Twitter handle. I want to put that in
Okay.
there because I want y'all to follow her because she's so great. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put her. This is her. That's her Twitter handle. So go ahead and follow her.
I definitely will, because
she's the reason why Janae is so amazing.
So here, I'll leave it up so people can write it down if they're not on the computer. But I hope.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. We're going back to talking about like subversions and stuff, but yeah. Just I like my men to be men, but I also like for them to have, a side of them that
a marshmallow.
Yeah, marshmallow, whatever you want to call it. I like for them to be men, but I also like for them to not buy into all that toxic nonsense because that's not.
But be protective when they need to be.
Be protective when they need to be, but just at the same time, they can cook or they stuff that we see as being feminine. They don't look at it that way. That's just like, hey, look, I'm a grown ass man. I don't know how to cook.
I need to cook for myself. I need to cook for myself.
So that's something that you'll see in Spend My Life with You. Drea doesn't cook, but Thad does.
I love it. I love when you can see this switch because it doesn't have to be the stereotypical men do this and women do this.
Yeah, I don't even get me started because that's just ridiculous. The idea.
I know. I say that stuff to my boyfriend and he just rolls his eyes. Like I'll read something to him and he's just like, "Are you kidding me?" I know.
Yeah, it's like you can I don't know if like it works with like the whole alpha thing, but that's why I prefer the whole cinnamon roll thing because you can have like the attributes that people
the alpha moments as I call them.
The alpha moments. Like these people are adults and they know that there is no man work or woman work or whatever. Like Aaron, for example, he couldn't really cook at first, but then by the end of the by like
he was making oxtail or something in the end of it. I was like,
he was making oxtails in the oh god, what's the slow cooker thing that we pot. He was making oxtails in the crock pot. He was making pork chops and stuff, and he was actually able to like make full complete meals, and he was actually really good at it by the time
I love
they were, like, married and having adults.
Exactly. I love the progression of the relationship and like how it kind of switched. Like he was doing a lot more of the at home stuff because she was working so much and it became too much, and then they had that conversation argument about how she needed to not prioritize work as much because they were using her in that position.
It's funny because that was an interesting thing to write, and it was also kind of like a tough part to write, but it happens, couples have arguments, couples disagree, couples sometimes raise their voice at each other. Doesn't mean they don't love each other. It doesn't mean that it just happens that at that moment they were angry, that anger came out, and then they take a moment, take a breath, take a step back, and then talk about it, and then from there you move past it, you apologize, and you adjust your behavior to make sure that you're able to communicate better and to make sure that you and your partner are able to see eye to eye. Like that's, it's funny because it feels so like such a simple thing to say, but portraying it realistically, it can be hard. It can be hard to actually do that, which I'm guessing that's what some people are trying to go for when they do the third act breakup, but a lot of times sometimes it works and sometimes it's just you guys could have just had a conversation about this.
That's my biggest thing. Like I'm okay if the third act breakup is for a legitimate reason, but then when it's like, okay, we're at this plot point and this needs to happen, so we need to do a third act breakup to have it be the happily ever after when they could just be a conversation. I don't like it.
Or you could have just texted each other or something.
Right. Or like some of the breakups, like without going into like certain books, it seems like I want to go like, how old are we? Like, are we all supposed to be 16 or in our 30s? Like I don't. I'm just like, You can all talk. It's okay.
Yeah, you can talk. It's fine. I mean, you may not like what the other person has to say,
Right.
but you just sit down, talk it out, get through it. It'll be fine.
Exactly. But I cannot wait to read Hot for Teacher. I hope that you're open to coming back and having discussion once Hot for Teacher comes out and once more of your books come out, because I would love to continue this conversation again.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, yay. Yay.
I'll figure out when I'm available and I'll do it. So
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, no problem. I'm happy to come back.
Thank you. But I want to thank everybody who could watch during the live stream and everybody watching on the playback. The next thing that I will be doing is on my friend's channel, we'll be doing a live discussion of Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. That'll be on the 4th at 8 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. PST. And if you want to follow, where is the best place for people to follow you? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram? Is there a specific spot that you prefer?
Both. I'm on those mostly. Okay. So either Instagram or Twitter. Here is my Twitter handle. So.
And I have everything linked in the description box as well. So if you weren't able to watch during the live stream, I have everything linked under in the description box, as well as the link to purchasing the ebook. Is Amazon the best place to purchase your ebook for Hot for Teacher?
Oh, you can go to Amazon, or you can just go, if you want to take a look at my website, it's MoniqueFisherAuthor.com.
And it's linked underneath in the description box as well, if anybody has a hard time finding it. But thank you so much for coming. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
I had so much fun, and I'm happy that you'll come back and have another discussion with me.
Yeah, just let me know.
Perfect. Have a great night, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.